Bring me my, bring me my honesty, my you. Bring me my, bring me my death on a step by sea to me. Turn up your voice, temper your heart, process your then let it rain.
Tell me something I don't know. Watch your river and flow like a sandstorm in my eyes. Laugh or cry tears come to mine. Da, Jen fingers do do do. Da, Jen fingers do do do. Wear away my face, my bones. I express and you feel calm. Disparate partners, both alone. Da, Jen fingers do do do. Da, Jen fingers do do do. Moments of certainty are rare, drowning in recompense. I have lost my view and head feels ridiculous, forcing souls to feel. Tell me something I don't know. Watch your river ebb and flow like a sandstorm in my eyes. Da, Jen fingers do do do.
black night rumbles with the silence of age. When earth croaks and splits, traverses fresh rage. Wounds open up, hungry mouths to obey, clambering to the surface to foul our bed. What, you said, the thems, the those, peering each from each, suspicious sockets. Everything changes, nothing the same, apart from rare faces who utter my name. Collapse your voice, won't you temper your hide? Process your meat-thin blood to imbibe. For if the husk stands where I had once been, would I be sorry that I'd let them in? A neglected shriek stops short to reach deep. Enough, fret fatigued and terribly old. A cry, it escapes, none manage to hold. It's the only time I pray. Please let the light in. Please let the light in. A puncture, a wound, a fist in a hole. Hang them, release me and strangle their throat. No use, split my breast with a thump and a crack. Paw through black ooze, bring one of us back. Though I warn, don't concede, don't live by my void. You'll crumble through fingers, exhausted, destroyed. Cry on a low, rip at skin screaming madness. Please let the light in. Please let the light in. Putrid air sidles up to one side. Humid curls into nostrils not one can abide. Once it has wearied, run dry, then it lifts. The hatred, the hunger, all gone leaving bliss.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for doing the live jam for us. I'm just so happy that you two are working together because that was like really beautiful pairing. I just felt like you both responded so well, and I just want to say thanks to Reform and Jägermeister for supporting this opportunity and for supporting program of different special shows on Reform and different events, especially like digital events now in lockdown. So yeah, VAM is like a visual art music platform, and we encourage like exchange of ideas, performance, and we've had this is the second live stream we've done. So yeah, live streaming is how we sort of do things and how we share our work. So how are you both finding working on your practice at the moment and working in this sort of the current circumstances on your practice?
Well, I'm Caligula is I've got two session musicians that usually join me, so obviously everything has changed for me. My set has become a lot more ambient, as it were. You know, my drummer isn't here. He's got like a century percussion kit, and my synth player and bass player, like the bottom end, I feel like it's missing. I feel like I'm having to instead of stacking instruments, if that makes sense, for a big sound, I feel like everything's spreading out more. So working with Alexander, that felt really, really like, you know, because all your stuff's really organic, it just felt really perfect because all your visuals are sort of outward instead of stacked. I don't know whether that makes sense. It makes sense to me.
Okay.
Like generative, like organic and like flowing.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I try to, I don't know, for me, and I would say it's definitely exploring collaborating over network. That's a huge thing for me at the moment. And then like I've been really glad to collaborate with Kali and being just, because that's the thing. I've been really focused on like, I would say purely electronic, like club music mostly before the lockdown. At the moment, as I'm jamming with mates is kind of, and like in the past like live sets I've been doing a lot more ambient-y kind of going, and I really like it's, as I was just been chatting with mates right before the stream, that's basically that it gives you freedom to do a lot more like ambient music in general, to do a lot more painting like performance, and allows things to float and like translate a lot smooth and slowly, and like it just gives you like it allows you to build up visuals, while let me say if I'm playing for like a club music, it'll be a lot more beat focused and like audio active focus, which I don't need to think about, which kind of gives me room for exploring other bits of the visual part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it almost feels like we're creating an experience instead of it pulling us along. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, I know.
creating
I know
a completely full experience. Like for me, that's what it was. It felt like an experience.
It's like an environment.
Exactly, that's the word. Yeah.
And I would really love to have that set in like a VR space, because I've noticed that you're doing so much with your sound, Callie, and like the spatialization of sound, and this similar reflected in your work, Alexander, with this whole sort of environment building. So how would you do that in like audio, and how would you do that in visual? Do you both want to chat about that, like that environment sort of building in sound and visual?
I suppose for me it'd be just you build it with depth, with reverb and placement and spatialization of the stereo field. I don't know how to explain that otherwise. I just follow my gut a lot of the time, to be honest.
Have been, for me, I think recently a lot of the spatialization of things is coming up, and I started playing with game engines. So that's more sort of, because at the moment I'm really focused on like level design and just purely not the sort of the logic of the game, but more of the environment of the game. So yes, it's always when I've been doing things sort of, I think before it was a lot more sort of a video, kind of a cinematic oriented, but I kind of see, like as you mentioned, I was thinking there is some sort of a shift of more moving towards the environment, how I think that you can sort of wander around as well as follow some sort of a guidance, and like the way that it builds up, which is
yeah, like a whole experience again, like you were saying, like less of like sit and watch, it's more like explore and like draw out from that what you latch onto, as you would in like surroundings around you. I feel like that's how I was sort of listening to the work and like watching the work as well. Yeah, just really nice scenes and sounds. So how did you like find it to work, like the internet and like in the digital context? How did you find that?
Alex, do you want to answer that one first?
Yeah, like it's I don't like I see the good and the bad sides of it. Like obviously, like in general, like that was pretty pleasant experience. But the first times I've been doing it, there've been so much things that goes wrong, and like I still feel that the technology is not like it is designed for people to communicate, but it's not designed for people to interact. If you kind of and then you kind of get this always you get this kind of a lack of kind of a static experience. Even when you chat with friends, you are in your own world and they're in their own world in a way, rather than like I think through this live streams and like stuff like the Ninja plugin and like Reaper and stuff like that, it kind of allows you to explore to add this element that usually got when performing. It's like you're actually able to somehow communicate in between like with people instead of just simply I'm doing my thing. And there is some sort of a really simply simulated communication that's like, I don't know, it still feels, even the fact that, where we say when you're Skype or Zoom, one person is always at the focus. You can't watch everything, because there will be way too much information. And like this sort of organization is already there, like when performing, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not as quick. Like I'm a massive fan of jazz, and it doesn't feel as quick or quite as responsive, which perhaps is why we've both slowed our practice down to allow for the lag, for the time lag maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I never thought about it. When you say it, it makes sense to me. Like it's definitely because you need to adapt to the technology as well. Like that's the thing. It's not just adapting to people. You need to adapt to the way the technology behaves. And like the fact that something may crash, your internet connection may drop, and all these bits, and it takes time. Like that's probably when the first times when I was doing it, it was a lot more trying to adapt to the technology. And the moment I can go a bit more beyond that, it leaves you like surfing on the way of all the glitches that comes when testing and trying bits that are working sometimes.
Yeah, and I think you could even start to integrate those glitches into your art form itself. Really, I think there's something quite endearing about the glitches and some of the lag and like the sort of the pauses when you're chatting, and it can be frustrating, but I think there's a lot we can take from that as well about human interaction and what that means to us.
Yeah, I completely agree actually, because I definitely have a tendency to sort of to rush in just with everything that I do, and this form of communication you have no choice but to slow everything down and to listen, otherwise it just cuts out. It's quite a nice metaphor really for communication. It's just like, oh no, I've cut out now, so yeah.
Yeah, definitely. The mentioning of cut out, like that's the whole. It makes you so conscious about. Am I cutting out something? Am I just destroying the flow? Which is I don't know, but it builds it in a really way, like really weird way. But it makes you really aware of when you disrupt something, which is that's definitely I don't know. I saw it as a bad thing, but it's definitely something positive out of it.
Yeah. Pause and listen become much more amplified, I think. Do you feel like you've found that you need to communicate more in your practice, like communicate more with people, collaborate more with people over this period of time? Has it made you want to reach out more or go more into yourself and into your practice, or a bit of both even?
Yeah, for me it's both. I mean, because I've got so much, well, one has so much time. You've got all these ideas and everybody's in the same boat. You've got to sort of solve these problems. Everybody's solving similar problems, and that I get the feeling that people seem to be more open because we've all got a common cause now, whereas all these different things that were separating, dividing us, we've all got this common cause, which is we're all isolated. So I'm finding that people, myself included, are a lot more open and a lot more open-minded. It's nice.
Yeah, that's that. I would say a, a bit of both, but definitely agree on the point of being like just make you the fact that this common cause, like common experience. It's always a thing you can chat about with people. It's like it obviously makes it a bit less kind of a bit less divisive, which people I don't know. I still expect to like overall experience to become a lot more divisive in the long run. But for now, I definitely enjoy the fact that I'm able to reach people even though they don't like they live in a different country. Because like I don't think that before that I'll be able to just stay with my mates and was like, yeah, let's jam over network. Like if someone told me like I would say before the lockdown, I'd be like, yeah, let's give it a go. But I'm not like that'll be something really experimental on the side. But yeah, at the same time, I kind of feel I really focus on what I wanted to learn, like what I always wanted to learn, but didn't have time. So now I'm like, yeah, I got all the free time. Now I don't have to rush for anywhere. I can go a lot more slower.
At your own pace. I think that's it. Yeah, being able
Yeah.
to explore things at your own pace, and also, yeah, like this jamming over network and this exchange of ideas over networks. It's like it never seemed like before that we'd need to do that or need to think of doing that, and now there's like so much more opportunity for that. It sort of like broadens like who you could potentially collaborate with, and like helps you to look outside a bit further. Even like it's bringing, I feel like it brings it a bit closer to people further away. This experience for me, in a way, like I feel like I'm speaking more to people that were further away.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
We're also together in like this isolation, like human sort of, we're all human, really. This experience shows.
Yeah, exactly. Like I went for a walk this morning, and me and my friend, we've not seen each other for months, and we went for our first walk, like 2 meters apart, and we bumped into an old lady, and we had I can't even remember what the conversation was about, but we had a full-blown conversation with this elderly woman and her dog, which I'd say hi, but that's not necessarily what people do anymore, is it? And I guarantee we said hi to everybody that we passed, and we were all really, really enthusiastic about it. It wasn't like, oh yeah, you're right. It was really enthusiastic. We're all really glad, and like I said, common cause, and
Yeah.
everybody's more open. It's really nice. It's like a thing that that some people have with football. Like some people can just talk about football. It's like, yeah, we've got a common cause. Yeah. It's that sounds silly, but it's like that openness. Do you know what I mean? Like everybody's got it. Like everybody's into football all of a sudden. I don't know.
Oh yeah, it definitely makes. Ages ago, I've been reading that's actually quite influential on a lot of things I've been exploring. But it was a book it's called Interaction Ritual Chains. And basically the sociologist, his name is Randall Collins, he was describing how this sort of a small everyday rituals, like by ritual is really abstract definition of ritual. I think I'll have time to just go into the whole explanation. But briefly, it's basically this common rituals are what makes people more socially organized in a way, like as it gives you a lot of common clues that you can stick to, and then when you look at people, you kind of like when you don't have these clues, you kind of feel more distant, and when you already have a lot of these clues, like I would say coronavirus, lockdown, how you deal with it, and all that stuff, it kind of always you have a connection point that makes you, as you mentioned, feel more open towards stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's the whole way that, like, I don't know, it's just because we sitting, before that, I kind of felt we always being super rushed and focused in my own thing. And at the moment, I'm like, I can relax. I don't have to think about it. Like, even I know it's not going to happen. I know we're going to take time. Before that, I was like, yeah, I need to do it. It's like, want to get better and better and better. And at the moment, I'm like, yeah, I still want to, but I know it's just going to take time, going to be slow and hopefully enjoyable ride.
I feel like in a creative practice, like preparing for these gigs and like events that we do, and sometimes it all just goes one after another. There's no time to even stop and reflect. Sometimes it's just like bam, bam, bam. We're just like full steam ahead, like trying to take on as much as possible. And now it's like, oh, we can actually like, you know, step back and reflect and think about like
what direction you actually want to go in, perhaps.
yeah, definitely. And I think like just reflecting on like anything new you want to learn, like any skills especially, and like, is my practice like, could it be improved? Do I want to like take on a new instrument, a new tool? And
Yeah, didn't you say you were learning coding or something?
yeah,
I bet you've had time to actually put some time into that.
it's one of those things where I think I've always admired people who do it, but I've never like taken it on myself, because I thought, oh, I need to take the time to actually like stop and learn it. And yeah, it's been the perfect time to stop and learn it really, but it has been like a bit challenging at times for sure. And making music for me, I don't know about yourself, and like the same with making visuals, because I do both. I've found it's very like stop start, and like some days I just can't get anything into my head. I don't know if you've felt like the same way, just a bit like, I don't know if it's lethargic or just not drawing like inspiration from live events, but I'm seeing so much on the internet. It's a different way of like taking on information really.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I mean, in general, I feel a bit more despondent than I usually would. I get a lot from a real live environment, from people, not necessarily from gigs and stuff, but just from interactions, and my own internal, you know, feeling monologue. I don't know what I would call it, but because it's slowed down so much, I do feel like I'm not, unless like I have those days where, you know, you just feel like the weight of it all. It's just like, oh my God, this is a pandemic. This is hideous. This is unbelievable. Like when I feel the weight of it, I feel like inspired to try and, you know, move forward and make something. But otherwise, I, to be honest, I feel really lethargic with it all. Really, really despondent, and I'm struggling quite a lot. Yeah.
I would say, yeah, I kind of always felt preoccupied with stuff, and at the moment I'm kind of felt that I finally got time to like organize and put them into I want to do this, and like suddenly I always tell myself you can't do everything, but at the moment I'm like, you can't, but you sort of like, you can't, but you can in the long run at this time when I'm not sure. So I'm kind of trying to get the positive sides, because if it's a path for that, I'm like, if I don't think about it, it's kind of the fact that I'm just on my own in my house and that's it. Like after a while, it just gets, as much as it is nice, after a while, you need to do something.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you mean, actually. Like those things that I've been putting off, like I've got a list as long as both arms, and I've actually started to look at it now and tackle some stuff, which, you know, which I might have said that I would have done, that I don't know, that's been sat there for, you know, months and months, and I have actually gotten stuff done. But I suppose that's almost like admin compared to the actual writing. Like learning coding for you, Izzy, it's learning a skill, isn't it? Instead of, for me, learning a skill and expressing myself and making something are two separate things. I mean, even with my hand gestures, learning a skill, expressing myself, they're two separate, completely separate things for me. You know what I mean?
it takes a while for you to be able to express yourself, like with your own sort of creative ideas, when you're just learning something like learning visuals or audio. You might just sort of not copy exactly, but just like try and learn and like
learn and then assimilate those skills.
Yeah, it takes a while before it becomes creative. So I feel like tutorials and things have been all right for me to do, like learning, because it's not trying to like all exert myself and like create something and put myself into that space, it's a different activity for me.
Yeah, exactly. They are separate.
Yeah, definitely. It takes time, as my experience exploring bunch of bits bit by bit. It takes time. It's just so far and I kind of feel I always want to start. You always, at least I always want to start and make something that I really enjoy. But I always forget. Like every time I start, it's like it takes time. Like in first couple of tries, always going to be, even as much as I can put them out, I'll be like, there are so many things I don't like about it. And like, I guess the more you get into it, the more I'm like, yeah, it's just the way it is. I enjoy it. Like I'm in general, it's not like, probably as the time goes, I enjoy it more and feel, but as I start, there is this kind of a sort of a threshold of frustration that you need to pass in order to start enjoying it.
I think especially
I agree.
digital technology and digital arts, those frustrations can make you feel really rubbish about what you're doing in the first place, and you're looking at yourself and like, oh, I hate this, like, why doesn't it look like this? Because it's takes time, and that's it. It's like experience and time and digital tools that you have around you, and like there's only so much you can do in one laptop and one graphics card, or like what you've got on Ableton or whatever you're using. So yeah, it it takes time, and it takes time to like find these tools as well that might be the thing that you find, and it suddenly clicks and it's like, oh yeah, I found a sound that's really great from this plugin, or like from this like visual tool, like this way of working really works for me. But it's still trying to like sift through all that first, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you've got to sort of sift through it and then assimilate it and make it your language, so then you can speak it. But you've got to find something that fits.
I think that's the thing, at least especially for animation, because that's I think that's always been not that much recently, but always been not that much big fan of ultra photorealistic bits. And through me trying to explore how not to do them, I learn how to do them, because that's like, obviously it's just because at first I was like, it's always, I guess, one of the things that stopped me trying that much, because I just don't want to watch a tutorial to make a super realistic model of a room. I already got one. Like if I want to do something, I want to be something weird that's, even if it looks like it exists, at least doesn't exist, like it doesn't actually exist. And so yeah, it's just as the way goes, because like at first, if you don't go to the realistic part, that's the lesson I've been learning, and like sort of my general frustration with it. You won't be able to create the super like weird ones basically. So you need to go, there is some sort of a learning the basics, and from then on, after you know them, you can start to build your own bits.
Learn the rules to break them, and
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, or just try breaking them in the first place, and then like just totally nobody gets it. No reference point.
Yeah, no reference point. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I'm just thinking we've got like 4 minutes before we're gonna stop the stream. So do you have anything you're working on at the moment? Any plans for the future? Anything you're looking forward to that you're working on?
I'm writing an opera.
Yeah.
How mad is that? I'm writing an opera. I decided that because I don't like opera, I'd write one, which sounds counterintuitive. But you learn the rules and then you break them. Like there's this one thing that just sticks in my craw, and I just can't stand it. So I'm going to break it. I feel like opera is just so irrelevant. It's one of the most heavily subsidized mediums in that sort of world, and I really, really want to make it relevant, shake it up a bit. So yeah, I'm making an opera called Contraband Concourse, we've just done the R&D, and now we're discussing how to expand it. It's just like this, it's more like an art, really. I just did an art. It's not an opera. I don't know what it is yet. So, yeah. And Caligula, obviously Caligula is an ongoing thing, but it just feels really strange without my band, without my boys. I miss them very much.
Who's in your band then? Drummer, you said there's a drummer, and who else, isn't it?
Yeah, so George Grundy is the drummer. He's one of the best drummers I've ever come across. He's fantastic. He's a jazz drummer, and he works on. Pardon?
Jazz trio. Is he in that jazz trio?
He's in a bazillion jazz trios.
Mm.
He plays a lot of the Dalai Lama. He's got like an evening that he does.
Yeah.
And then James Davies, he's a synth player and plays all my crazy samples and makes weird noise for me. And he's a fantastic jazz player as well. I'm just really lucky that I've got these two amazing, really supportive men that are totally on board. I'm really lucky.
Oh, yeah. I would love to see the full band whenever that would be possible. But
I know, yeah. I miss it.
And yeah, it's just me exploring game engines. I think that's my, because I was thinking the whole thing I was lacking, as I was mentioning, is just interaction. I'm thinking how you can rebuild this sort of a interaction online, or even if it's something, how I can make an interactive piece I can publish online, so it will be still driven by people, but in a sort of a game environment. I was thinking how at the same time how we can virtualize social experiences, like through either VR or any like a bit more 3D chat rooms where you can actually sit with people like virtually. But
That's a brilliant idea.
But like a super VR version of that.
yeah. But that's it's sort of, but it's probably go there. Like the first thing it was like I was exploring how to make a 3D online gallery where people can like use certain spaces and even just distort it. Because at the first, obviously, you're gonna make a big square block with some bits on it, but then you can start making it a bit more weirdly. Like you can make it as a, I don't know, like fucking island, and in the middle of the island you see a screen. Boom! It's an artwork.
That sounds amazing.
But that's a really long-term project, and I'm not sure if it's just an idea. Like we'll see if it builds up towards something.
Well, there's a way. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to wait until VR is cheap enough for everybody to acquire. Like, God, I can't wait until that happens. Yeah.
It is 9:30 now, so I think, yeah.
Are we done? Was that us?
That's us. But yeah, thanks again, guys. I loved that collaboration. I thought it was really, really beautiful. Really enjoyed it. Really loved it.
Yeah, I loved it, Alex. Thanks, Izzy, for setting it up. And Alex, like, I'm completely...
Yeah, thanks for the... Yeah, I've been really enjoying doing... It's just because that's the whole thing. It's a different stuff to what I usually do visuals for, and I really enjoyed exploring that side, like how I can answer visually to it. It worked really well.
Yeah. Oh, great. And thanks again to Reform and Jaeger for supporting us. And hopefully we'll do another live stream soon. Cool. Okay.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.
See ya. Bye-bye.